Everybody, welcome to Black Opera Live, presented to you by Black Opera Productions LLC, all in support of the new amazing dynamic film coming your way entitled Black Opera. I am your host, Kenneth Overton. Get yourselves in the room and just choose your seat and sit down. That voice that you just heard, that voice, that unmistakable, gorgeous, warm, voluptuous sound is the sound of my esteemed, incredible guest tonight. That is the legendary Denyce Graves. She is here, y'all. She is here. She is here. I am bouncing off the walls with excitement that she is gracing us with her time and her presence and her brilliance. Let me just tell you a little bit about her before we get started. Recognized worldwide as one of today's most exciting vocal stars, Denyce Graves continues to gather unparalleled popular and critical acclaim in performances on 4 different continents. USA Today identifies her as an operatic superstar of the 21st century, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution exclaims, "If the human voice has the power to move you, you will be touched by Denyce Graves." I can co-sign to that. I have seen her perform live, and it is such an incredible experience. Her career has taken her to the world's greatest opera houses and concert halls. The combination of her expressive, rich vocalism, elegant stage presence, and exciting theatrical abilities allows her to pursue a wide breadth of operatic portrayals and to delight audiences in concert and recital appearances. Denyce Graves has become particularly well known to operatic audiences for her portrayals of the title roles in Carmen and Delilah and Samson and Delilah. These signature roles have brought Miss Graves to the Metropolitan Opera, Vienna Staatsoper, Royal Opera Covent Garden, San Francisco Opera, Opera Nationale de Paris, Lyric Opera of Chicago, the Washington National Opera, Bayerische Staatsoper, Arena di Verona, Deutsche Oper Berlin, Opernhaus Zurich, Teatro Real in Madrid, Houston Grand Opera, Dallas Opera, Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires, Los Angeles Opera, and Festival Maggio Musicale in Florencia. Miss Graves appears continually on the stages of leading theaters in North America, Europe, and Asia. Highlights have included a Robert Lepage production of The Rake's Progress at San Francisco Opera and the title role in Richard Daniel Poor's Margaret Garner. I hope you guys were able to catch the rebroadcast that was sponsored by Cincinnati Opera last night. They had it on the radio, and it was just absolutely fantastic. She did the world premiere performances at Michigan Opera Theater and further performances at Cincinnati Opera, Opera Carolina, and the Opera Company of Philadelphia. The title role of Charlotte in Werther for Michigan Opera Theater opposite Andrea Bocelli in his first ever staged operatic performances, and the role of Judith in a William Friedkin production of Bartók's Bluebeard's Castle in her return to Los Angeles Opera. Listen, this woman sings anything, anywhere, everywhere, and she does it beautifully and with such electricity. You're just drawn to her when she's on stage. And we're going to talk to her about that and more. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together with a big Black Opera Live applause for my incredible guest, the incredible, marvelous, gorgeous Denyce Graves. Welcome, Denyce.
Okay, I just fell in love with you. I mean, who doesn't want that kind of an introduction? Holy moly. Thank you so much. That was so lovely and so generous. And my husband was in the background just rolling his eyes.
You ask him, does he know how lucky of a man he is? I mean, come on.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you so much, Kenneth. And thank you for what you're doing.
Oh.
Thank you. I mean, it's amazing. I caught I missed Carolyn and everybody the other day, but I did catch the trio with those magnificent, with Jackie.
With Jackie, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. All 3 of them so magnificent. Just
aren't they?
spectacular, beautiful artists. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I've had the pleasure to meet them and work with them, and I just think they're spectacular.
They
And
really are.
what you're doing is spectacular. So thank you so much for doing this incredible service and introducing or re-familiarizing people with so many great artists of excellence. Where did this idea come from?
Well, we are working on the film Black Opera about Jesse Norman, Leontine Price, Martina Arroyo, Grace Bumbry, Simon Estes, and George Shirley. And the coronavirus hit and halted everything. And so after I got up off of my couch for crying, for losing all of my singing work, I said, well, I went to the team and I said, you guys, we have to do something to keep the name of the film and the energy of the film going. And so we came up with the idea of doing these shows and highlighting African-American singers that are singing today, from the past, the present, and upcoming singers as well. So that's where it came from. And I had no idea that I would enjoy it this much. It doesn't feel like work, it's a great time.
And that the response would be so tremendous also too.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Telling me about the show since its inception. And I think that you and I share a mutual friend in Ronald Smith, who's been
Yes.
Did you see it last night? Did you see the last one? Did you see and people call me and text me all the time. You got to turn it on right now. So thank you so much for, filling in this gap and really highlighting just Black excellence. It's been such a beautiful thing to witness and to put out there. And I just was thinking about you today and wondering, what have you learned, or has there been a common thread that you've seen in all these different artists?
Yeah, I feel like everybody learning who they are off of the stage has been incredible. Their hobbies and habits outside of their singing. Because what I had to figure out for myself was, who is Kenneth Overton off of the stage? Mm-hmm. Because for so long, that's how I identified myself. And so my colleagues, who are most of them, we're friends, or we've shared the stage together, and I've learned a lot about them that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that you were such a great cook. My goodness, and that Roberta Alexander is a huge tennis fan, which I love tennis as well. Like, who would have thought that I would, know these things, and then to have this sort of access to you all. Because before this, everybody's in their own corner of the world doing their own thing. But to be able to come together in this way it's been marvelous.
Yeah, that's true. And I understand what you're saying too. Usually I'm on the artist committee for the Kennedy Center Honors. And it's always such a pleasure whenever they do, the features of whoever happens to be one of the honorees. Like Grace Bumbry loves to drive, fast car, like
Yes.
a race car driver and that sort of thing. And I think that people present themselves with a certain persona, as you were saying. People who's a baritone and singing, Porgy and Fantula del West, or the Girls of the Golden West, or all these different premieres that you yourself have done. But and that's all we know.
Right.
And it wasn't until really I sat down with Lawrence Brownlee doing his show on the Sit Down, talking about my life on the farm, and everybody was like, "What? Like, a farm? Like you're like, getting your hands dirty, driving a tractor and like shearing alpaca and feeding the horses, and people get to know you one way." And
Yes.
It's always very interesting to see that people have lives that, are much, much broader, and is what allows them to be able to sing, is what gives them a reason to sing,
Yes.
That we are all, each person, each human being is so much more complicated and layered than what we present.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You're not just meeting the press agent, you're meeting the real person. And that's been really exciting, exciting.
And it's true that this particular moment of stillness has allowed us an opportunity to go deeper in ourselves and to go connect differently with each other. And I think that we're all going to be so changed. And I think art is going to be richer, and our performances are going to be so much more profound too when we get through all this. And it looks like that is on the horizon.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. It really does look like it.
And
And
what happened when everybody put their minds and their hearts together and jumped
yes,
on this thing? Because this is something that, this has been very, very interesting. This has like leveled the playing field, and certainly
absolutely.
in our profession. And everybody just, getting together and saying, look, we've got to find a way to eradicate this thing. I've been really encouraged by that.
Me too. It's I was telling some younger singers that you can't come out of the pandemic the same person and the same artist as you were before it happened. This has definitely changed me. It has deepened my appreciation and my love. I mean, not that I took anything for granted before, but I really can't take anything for granted now. It's all such a gift. And I've also noticed how starved the world is for art, for music, because everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves art and music in their lives. And when it's snatched away without notice, it can be hurtful. So the desire and the electricity that we're feeling for the arts to come back is tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous.
And singers particularly. I mean,
Yes.
it hit us in a way that it didn't hit anybody else. I mean,
My goodness.
it hit us right in the center. It's like we're considered to be these, super transmitters. I think transmitters, great super transmitters of love and joy,
Right. How about that? But the very thing that we do and how we do it is why we're wearing masks now,
Direct hit.
Yeah, direct hit.
Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that you're here, and hopefully somebody in the audience will learn something new today about you or be inspired by you as I was when I first saw you. And so I want to share a little bit of an interview that I first saw when I was in college, and I was transfixed by this interview, and it really, 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 really made me want to not only go into the career more, but also I was inspired because I saw someone else now that looked like me.
Oh God.
60 Minutes, Rewind.
This is the result when guts, discipline, talent, and beauty all combine in one happy accident. Denyce Graves. She's not merely the opera world's newest darling, she is genuinely a woman of substance, who, with the help of two strong, determined women, her mother and her teacher, pulled herself out of a despairing inner-city neighborhood and now strides the world's stages as if she owned them. Apart from her voice, it was her story that attracted our attention. Last fall, we joined her at perhaps the most important moment of her life, her debut in New York at the Metropolitan Opera. Do you know what I find remarkable? I have to tell you this.
Tell me.
That you let us in here minutes before you're going on to make your Metropolitan Opera House debut.
Oh God, now I just got nervous.
Well, no, you didn't get nervous. You gotta have ice cubes in your veins.
On the opposite, I feel really hot on the inside, and I'm trying to stay as calm as possible. I mean, I have to. I can't afford to let myself be excited.
A night at the opera. Any debut at the Met is an occasion. For Denise's family and friends, the 75 people who came by bus and train from Washington, D.C., this debut was a night to remember.
And I wanted things
especially for her mother, Dorothy, who taught her three kids to dream beyond the street where they lived.
Jesse Jackson said, you can live in the slum, but the ghetto does not have to be in you. And I knew I had to develop that for my children.
Did you think she would be here on a night like this with her name up in lights?
I think I did, but I'm not sure if I thought about it to this magnitude.
The road to the Met started with a little girl in front of a mirror holding a hairbrush as a microphone. It ended here. The reviews the next morning were spectacular. an already brilliant young artist had aced her most difficult test. At age 30, she is the world's favorite Carmen, who routinely plays opposite the three tenors, Pavarotti, Domingo, and Carreras in companies all over the world. Hard to believe, just 15 years ago, her mother had to push her on stage to sing a church solo.
We'd be there in front of everybody at the church, and we'd have this little conversation going on. I don't want to do it. No, you go do it. Why can't Deborah do it? No, I don't want to do it. You go do it. And everybody's clapping and looking at you and waiting and say, come on, sweetheart, come on, praise God, sing, you know?
How can you not be inspired by that? That, I mean, I sat there in school watching you on 60 Minutes, and I wanted to immediately leave and go to the practice room.
Oh,
because
well, at least you're in school. What I'm hearing often now is that I was in the children's chorus, or my parents were in the children's chorus when you were singing, or so. Oh, thank you so much. That was a magnificent time, and I'm grateful to them for wanting to do that story. And I'm so grateful that my mother, that I had my mother with me to be able to witness that important moment. And my music teacher and these incredible women, as we know, when Kamala Harris was talking about, absolutely, about all of the shoulders of the women that we stand on. I heard an interview today from, who was the first woman in Arkansas? Ruby.
Oh, yes. That went to the school. She was on The View this morning.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about all the women shoulders that we stand on. And so for me to actually have them there with me was what made that moment so incredible for me. Because, I'm sure that my story is not unusual in the fact that, I was raised by a single mother who was working, 3 jobs to support the family. And it was very, very difficult for her. And I'm just glad that moment, I know, was not mine alone. It was hers too. And so Ruby Bridges, right, thank you. And so many other, women who have lifted me up and continue to do so. So
absolutely.
I was incredibly grateful that she was there and alive to see that moment.
And I have to say, you completely stole your mother's face. She is so beautiful. You look just like her. Oh my God.
They say on her portrait, yeah, I guess she belongs to me.
Absolutely.
To her. Yeah. Thank you.
I am so glad that you mentioned your teachers, the other important Black women in your life, because when I was talking to Ron, our mutual friend, I said, Ron, what should I ask? And what do you think I should talk about? And he says, well, and he gave me like 2 long emails worth of things to go and talk to you about. But this one, I was able to work a little bit of magic. And I'll tell you about the magic after I show you something that I think you'll really appreciate.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Congratulations, Denise. Congratulations. It has been a long time, but it has been a fun time. I'm so proud of you. I don't remember. I couldn't be any prouder. You make tears to come to my eyes. How long have you been out there and hardworking and yet smiling? I don't know how you did it, but it was wonderful. And it is wonderful. I don't know if anyone ever knew of our past history. It started at Patterson Elementary School. When we talked about Patterson, we thought about the choruses that we attended, the rehearsals that we attended, going in my car down to Independence Hall to do the annual high school, junior high, and elementary school program. It was a fun time. The Saturdays were great, stopping off at, I guess, McDonald's. But it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. Then you transferred out of Patterson to Friendship. And little did
Whoops. Whoops. Did we lose her?
I think so. It seems to be.
Ah, okay. I was able to get someone to videotape her in her home where she's living.
I can't believe it.
She's such a pistol and so beautiful, and she wanted to be a part of tonight. And so we've been talking thanks to Miss Gail Robinson Oturu, who put me in touch with her, because Ron said, okay, get in touch with Gail. And so I sent Gail a message on Facebook. And then Gail said, well, let me call her and see if she's up to it. And then next thing I know, she was calling me. And we've been on the phone for the last couple of days.
What a gorgeous surprise. Thank you for all of that effort and trouble. My gosh, that was an incredible surprise. Thank you for that. That was
Hi, Gail.
Beautiful. Oh, hi, Gail. Thank you so much. Wow. So Gail and I go back to the DC Youth Chorale.
Uh-huh.
And do you know her?
No, only just by her name and the work that she's done.
Another beautiful singer, high soprano. Mm-hmm. But she was running the DC Youth Chorale, of which I was a part at the Ellington School, the Performing Arts High School.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And Miss Judy and I came to realize that we both were reared in Philadelphia. So we've been having a good time.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that you went through that effort. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You are so worth it. So worth it. I believe in giving people their flowers while they're here to enjoy them. That's
right. Thank you for that. Oh, what a beautiful gift. I'd love to get a copy of that too.
Absolutely. I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Definitely. So would you take us back to Washington, D.C., because Miss Judy also mentioned that the day that you saw the opera, she said you pointed down to the stage and said, that is what I want to do. Can you take us back to that moment?
I was young. I was 13 years old. I was a student at that time at the Duke Ellington School in Washington, D.C., and they had a relationship with the Kennedy Center. And the Kennedy Center would allot a certain amount of tickets to come to the final dress rehearsal. And we went to Beethoven's Fidelio. And that was great because, they were stopping and starting and just, chatting. And we really had a behind the scenes look at what it was. And, I just fell in love. And thank you. I couldn't be more proud. Judy and I have to fight over that's so lovely. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. There was Monica Anderson also. She, and also along with Monica. Monica dance. Monica, thank you so much. Monica and Gail were those women were the two pillars that ran the DC Youth Chorale. Oh my God, I haven't seen or heard from her in years. Thank you, Monica and Gail. Thank you very, very much. And there's Kevin Short. Holy moly. Hey, Kevin, we just judged the competition together for the Duke Ellington School, actually.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, so hearing that and seeing that up close and just falling in love, it's one of those things, I think. I mean, I don't know what your experience was kind of when you caught the bug, or what was the thing that made you say, oh my goodness, what is this? But it's just so incredibly unusual. And so I had such a visceral response to it that I said, what in the world is this? What kind of music is this?
Yeah.
And, whatever this is, I want to be a part of this. Not, of course, knowing that maybe I could be, but I just wanted to be because of the incredible effect that it immediately had on me.
Absolutely.
And some years ago, I used to have a radio show for XM Radio called Voce di Donna, and I would speak to my colleagues all in the profession, from costume designers to lighting designers to the conductor, people in the orchestra, and ask them that sort of same question. What is it that brought them to the profession? And nearly everybody's story, and that's why I was curious to know in your interviews with all these different artists if you found a common thread. But the common thread that I found in speaking with people is that people were around the age of 11, 12, 13. Something happened. They heard the opera. They went to the ballet. They went to musical theater. Something happened where that moment imprinted.
Yes.
And changed it. That happens to be an incredible moment in development for a person where that story was the same through everybody, no matter what their professions were in the business, whether they were doing costumes or whether they were doing, whatever they were, whether they were singing. Everybody had that story where around that age, 12, 13,
yes,
something happened.
It was, outside of, because I didn't want to be a part of classical music at all. Growing up in inner city Philadelphia, that was not the jam. My house was Motown, R&B, and gospel on Sundays. That was it.
Right.
But I went to a performing arts high school, similarly to Duke Ellington, but in Philadelphia. And it was Jesse Norman that I saw in recital that knocked me over. And my life was changed. And so, talking to a lot of my colleagues on the show, I have found that it was always seeing someone that looked like them on stage that made them believe that it was possible, or a teacher who brought the idea or recognized their gift before they knew that it was possible. So I would say those would be two of the threads.
And that's the argument for inclusion.
Absolutely.
That's the argument for inclusion. Just because you're there. People don't realize people just have no idea. My house is a mixed household. We got the, United Nations living here. We've got a little bit of everything going on. And, I have these discussions with my husband. I said, you can't fully appreciate that. I saw recently, I was a beautiful graph of all of the vice presidents. So did you see that?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you've got at the very end.
The very end.
And you realize how striking that is. And this is what I was trying to impress upon him. I said, when you go your whole life and you don't see anybody that looks like you think that you don't belong to. You think that you don't belong to this art form. You think you don't belong to this. You think you don't belong, in this particular, profession. And just seeing someone, because for me, it was the same thing. I love the strength of Miss Denyce Graves. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany. Just being able to see a face.
Yes.
Just seeing the face that looks like yours says, oh my goodness, it is possible.
Yes.
Particularly, I think for us, where opera itself is sort of under this stereotype, and a lot of people believe it's, a European, art form. I had professors tell me at Oberlin College, why are you doing this? Why are you doing gospel music? I had professors tell me right to my face, this is not suited for you. I had voice teachers tell me that.
Wow.
You shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing, gospel music.
How did you receive that as a young person?
Well, the great thing is that I've been Black the whole time, right? And that's been fabulous. I say to my husband all the time, everybody should be Black for a while. Because what I mean by saying that is that, just in living life,
Yes.
there's just so much you have to just learn to ignore
Yeah.
and keep soldiering on. I don't want to get political here.
Oh, it's fine. We had a whole political show on the day before the election. I have 4 panelists on who are all singers, but who are all, extremely open politically on their social media. And we talked about what this whole political climate means and what it means to be an African American in this climate at this time. So it's fine. You can say whatever you want here.
But I think that some people have not built up the grit and the character and strength in their bedrock,
Right.
in their foundation, to be able to withstand, a no, or
Right.
a now, or that it's not your turn, or this isn't going to happen for you.
Right.
And so the question was, how did I deal with that? I think I've been dealing with it the whole time, just as you have been. So like when he said that, it was like, whatever, dude, like whatever,
Whatever.
Exactly, whatever. Just keep on going, because that was not the first time that you'd heard somebody say, you don't belong here, or this isn't, for you. This isn't your place. You need to go over here. It was like, whatever.
Exactly. I went to high school with Boys to Men.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah, in Philly, yeah.
We were all in the same choir, the same theory classes, the same everything. And people would always say, well, why aren't you in that group with them? Why do you want to sing classical music? Well, God gave me this gift to do this, and theirs is to do that. And we can love and respect and appreciate them both. And it used to be rather hurtful as a younger person, because they were getting famous, and I was in my 24 Italian art song book trying to get into the conservatory. So it's
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the same thing at my school. There were some people who went, Tony Terry, I don't know if you know him. He and I were classmates together, and he went a completely a different route. But Ellington was a real mix, and they had a really strong African American student body. So there was tremendous welcome and acceptance where that's concerned. That it wasn't an issue there. It wasn't until later going out to higher education,
right?
Where you'd hear comments like that. But
and it's interesting too. That's where I first heard about Duke Ellington, was when I went to college. So I went to North Carolina School of the Arts for my undergrad. And when I got there were 4 other Black students from Duke Ellington there in the freshman class. And, on our spring breaks, we would drive back up and I'd spend time with them in DC, and they'd show me around the school and tell me about Edward Jackson and Sam Bonds and the whole crew at Ellington. So I have Ellington is definitely a piece of my heart, because my friends that all went there. So
yeah, they're doing magnificent work. They always have. And these, like Judy Grove, my teacher that you just saw, and Gail Robinson and Monica Anderson, these women who went far beyond anything that was expected. Because when they would look at someone and they see the talent in there, and they see that this person that was also coupled with their passion and excitement and enthusiasm for wanting to learn and for the profession, they went out of their way to do whatever it was that they could do to support and promote you along that path. And that's why we have an obligation to pay that forward, because I'm sure this story is the same for you and for all of the guests that you've had so far, on your show. They've had a teacher or 2 or 3 that went out of their way, who looked at them and said, "Oh my goodness!" I mean, you just showed the 60 Minutes piece, so I'm reminded of Ryan Speedo Green, who, that was an amazing story.
Absolutely.
When somebody could have just thrown up and said, "Okay, I'm out." Absolutely not. I'm going to stay in the room, and I'm going to stay here with this young. And look at what happens. Look at what happens, when you pour in love, when you pour in respect, when you pour in appreciation, when you pour in reverence, look at what happens to people.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. So we all thank those incredible teachers like Gail, like Monica, like Judy, like, you know, your teachers who saw that just that kernel inside of a student. And I see that today with the work that I'm doing with, you know, my kids, and it's personal. It's intensely personal. You know, my husband will say to me sometimes, I can't believe you're giving that student a lesson. Didn't they graduate like 4 years ago? Yeah, but that's not how it works. You know, if you find a great doctor that you work with, do you give them up? You know? No, not at all. You know, if you're working and they're working together and their voices are responding and they're growing,
right?
Particular work that we do is so personal. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like anything else. It's unlike anything else because it's you. It is the body, and you become incredibly attached. I mean, you know, my students feel like my daughter because I only have women. They all feel like my daughters, and it's impossible for me to, you know, they are part of my life. You know.
Yeah. So did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher? When did the idea of teaching come into your life? Because you had such a busy singing career. Did you feel like you needed to slow down to start that? Or was it a natural progression?
Well, fortunately, at Oberlin College, my voice teacher, Helen Hodem, God rest her soul, didn't believe that the younger students should practice on their own. Because, you know, she believed that you could practice bad habits as well.
Practicing bad habits, yeah.
Exactly. So she always assigned an upperclassman, a junior or a senior, to work with the freshman and sophomore. So so you'd have your lessons, but then when you practice on your own, she'd assign an upperclassman from her studio to work with you. So when it was my turn to get there, when I got there to be junior or senior, then I had to work with younger kids. And then some of the younger students started to really like me, and they would tell her, I really like the work that I'm doing, you know, with Denise, because I would sort of explain it in singer's terms. I mean, she would too. I mean, but anyway, but that's how it started. That's how it started. So it started very early on. And I started school early. I mean, I graduated high school early. So I was on the other side. And so that's how that happened. And working and being able to really articulate what's happening anatomically with the body, and learning that everybody has a different way of learning. And
yes.
They have to try to find, you know, you have these incredible Stradivariuses that walk through the door, and you have to find the key that unlocks their understanding. And I always found that interesting.
Yeah.
I always found that interesting. Well, how does this person learn? Are they kinesthetic? You know, exactly what do I need to say that, and when you see understanding dawn in their faces, that's great. And I would say that I've been so incredibly, you know, myopic. You know, you played in the countdown, you played, you know, my singing Must the Winter.
Oh.
I've never heard those before.
What?
Never.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I had never. Tonight was the first time I heard it.
How is that possible?
I don't listen to myself.
What?
I can't.
Denise, are you serious?
Bible.
Those are some of the most glorious recordings ever. Like, because I always ask my guests to submit some things that they would like me to play. But for this one, there was so much of you that I personally loved. I was like, I have to get this in to the show because it's so, like, people call them like the national anthems for mezzos, the va and the Must the Winter. But yours, that is the standard. Like, that is the benchmark. Like, if you don't do it like that, I don't want to hear it. That's just.
So if you could have seen my face when I said to my husband, and my husband said, "What's that?" He said, "What are those arias?" Because I don't play them. I don't play myself singing. No, I did send you the Old Man River because somebody sent it to me.
Wow.
Somebody
Wow.
But anyway, so I don't listen to myself. So my husband said, "I've never heard you sing those before." because well, when I'm practicing around the house, they're not really here. But he said, I've never heard that before, because I'd never heard it before. And I was saying to myself, oh, I would do that differently. Oh, I can't believe I did that. I would do that differently. Today, I would do this really differently. So, I would say that we're taught to be, incredibly critical. As you know, you're a singer, as you know.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I do is I try to do the best that I can do on that particular night at that particular time. I put it out there, and then I let it land, and whatever it ends up being is what it ends up being. I know where I was at the time. Recording, of course, is very different, because you do have the opportunity to go back and say, let's do this again, let's do that again. But we did that in Germany. And, I was working with a conductor that the record company, paired me with.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not very accommodating in that way. He'd say, it's fine, Denise, it's fine. Let's go on to the next one.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that was a different sort of, working situation. But I think, he probably understands that, certainly I'm this way, but a lot of singers would say, you'd be there for 2 weeks saying, let's do it again, let's do this again, let's do it again. So I don't listen to myself. I do the best that I can do at that moment, and whatever that is, and then I leave that and I keep going, but I certainly don't sit at home and listen to myself sing. I do not.
Well, that recording, it's because it's called Voce di Donna, right? The whole CD. Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
But you mentioned you singing Old Man River. And first of all, when I read your email, I said, does she mean can't help loving that man of mine? Like, is that what she means? Because I've never heard a woman say, oh, play this track of Old Man River because the beginning of the recital is all, German Lied, chanson, the whole thing. And it's, well, Denise, what do you want me to play? Well, I like Old Man River from this. And I listened to it and I hit the floor. Oh my God. So everybody hold on to your hats, your wigs, your shirts, everything, because this is going to knock you all the way out.
Colored folks work on the Mississippi. Colored folks work while the white folks play. Pulling those boats from the dawn till sunset. Getting no rest till the judgment day. Don't look up and don't look down. You don't dare make the white boss frown. Bend your knees and bow your head and pull that rope until you're dead. Let me go away from the Mississippi. Let me go away from the white man boss. Show me that stream called the River Jordan. That's the old stream that I long to cross. Oh, man river, that old man river, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along. He don't plant potatoes. He don't plant cotton. And in that land some, he soon rode that barge and lit that veil, you get a little drunk and you land in jail. I get weary and sick a-trying. I'm tired of living, and I'm scared of dying. But oh, my river, he just keeps rolling
Oh my God.
You said that on your email. I fell out. Thank
Oh,
you.
because I literally said that to my computer screen in my house by myself. Oh my God, what just happened? The people in the chat are going absolutely nuts. I'm going to put up some comments that were going as you were singing. What on earth? Where did that come from? What made you choose to sing that? And mind you, that was live, so there was no take 2, take 3. Just flawless at the end of a concert.
That's right.
Tell me about this. Oh my God.
So I've always had this really low extension. And Nanachika, she and I went to Ellington together.
Wow.
And so I've always been Patrick, I've always been very comfortable in the lower part of my voice. It's where I feel the most comfortable. And so
Wow.
I'm like, let's go lower, let's take it lower, let's go lower, you know? And so when 2 seasons ago at the Met, when we premiered Nico Mulney's Marnie, I called him in the summertime and I said, come on, Nico, you got to give me more to sing than this. And he said, I've been thinking about your low voice and I got to write something. I said, go lower. So he'd write something and I'd send it back. I said, make it lower, you know? So no, I've always been really, really, really comfortable there. But it's a very interesting point because I think that what we're seeing now is that the profession is moving more to individualized singers. I sent you that fantastic recording of those twins.
Yes. Kimon and Kamon. Yeah. Amazing.
I nearly drove the car off the road.
Yeah.
Ron sent that to me and said, listen to this, Denise. I was driving. And I had to pull the car to the side. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So what we're seeing now, I think, in the profession is, because I know that Stephanie Blythe has a project of singing Johnny Ski.
Yes.
Right? And we have some transgender people in some of the institutions where I'm working now. And, we've got a fantastic bass she's magnificent. And so I think that what we're seeing happening now is that it's really going to be about individual artists and what they can do and what their voices can do. I remember when Jesse Norman sang Earl Kernish, and I was like, what?
Oh my God. Let me tell you about that song. So back in high school in Philadelphia, my choir director, who was not African-American, he would listen to albums every morning before class. And all of these voices would just waft down the hallways. And mind you, we're in the hallways and we're singing to Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. But here comes all of this opera. Well, we get into class and he plays the Earl Kernish. And he says, I want you all to close your eyes and listen. And at the end, I want you to tell me how many people were singing this song. And it was Marian Anderson singing it. And so all the students were like, oh, it was 3 people. It was 2 people. Oh, it was 4 people. And he said, that was one woman. And she grew up a few blocks from where we're sitting right now. And I fell out of my chair.
That's a great exercise. What a great exercise that is. That's fabulous. Yeah, it's true. It's true, huh? And so I think we're seeing that now with so much going on, and people becoming more and more who they feel that they are, and that it's really going to be about the individual singer.
Because that's what's interesting to me. You know, I want to see who you are, what kind of artist you are. Nobody wants the carbon copy, you know, sing the same stuff the same way all the time. Who wants that? That's boring.
And if you can sing it, you know, because I mean, that's really what it's about in our business. It's like when you stand on the stage and the lights are shining on you and you're front and center, can you deliver? Can you deliver?
Can you deliver? And the thing is, you mentioned that you've always had a very comfortable low voice.
Yep.
But what I also found absolutely tremendous in that performance was the phrasing and the attention to the text and the shading and the coloring of the words, and you're able to play with the notes and do what you want. That is, was that taught to you, or is that instinctual?
Oh, well, I mean, I certainly learned it. There's no question about it. I would say that, you know,
because you know, most people barrel their way through that song.
I'm sorry?
Most people barrel their way through that song, and people just wait to hear those low G's.
Yeah.
But I was so captivated by the rest of it. And so then the low notes were just the icing on this already delicious cake.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I think that being a mezzo soprano and being the type of mezzo soprano that I am, there weren't a tremendous amount of protagonists, of leading lady roles that were available to my voice type. You know, I sang them. There were some things that I wanted to do that I never did, like Mignon or Orfeo. But I didn't have a voice. I've always had this really rich, colorful voice.
Yeah.
I think that one of my strengths has been that I certainly have tried to be very honest and tell the truth in my singing. And that's what's important in a phrase. What is it that I want to say? What is this particular phrase saying? And that's what I'm teaching all the time to my students. And I think that because I didn't have repertoire that was necessarily like fireworks, you know, I didn't have like, you know, I wasn't doing like Sempre Libera, I wasn't doing like all of this kind of, even like Noble Seigneur, or all of this sort of, you know, firework kind of material. That what I leaned into was the legato line. What I leaned into with my voice was being able to spin a phrase and to tell a story. And I think that that's what's been part of my success, has been the fact that I can take a song and, for me, find out what's special in each phrase and find a way to, you know, to underscore that and to color that and to tell that particular story. And so, yeah, I think that's what I've done in my career, is that and that's, I think, what people talk about. I think that's what, you know, I don't mean that, of course, in a braggadocious way. I talk to students all the time about, what do you think your strengths are, and what are your weaknesses, right? And what opportunities are available to you? And so what is it that you have to play? And you have to know what those weaknesses are too. And you certainly have to play up what those strengths are.
Right.
So I would say that I didn't have a voice that was doing, you know, all this sort of gymnastics and stuff like that. My strength was really being able to spin a long legato line and being able to color different words and paint in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so this clip you didn't send me, but it's one of the most beautiful things, that I've ever heard, but one of my favorite things of you. And it shows now the other extreme of this gigantic range that you have. But it's just so beautiful. I just took a few minutes out of it. I didn't grab the whole thing, but just catch this, everybody. Oh,
My teeth look gigantic in this.
oh my God. That is so beautiful. And when I first heard that years ago, I went online and looked for that sheet music. I was like, I have to sing this. Somebody's going to transpose that for me so that I can sing this because that was incredible. Incredible.
So a friend of mine did that. A friend of mine did that. You know, I did this project through my company, Carmen Productions, called Church. And I don't know if you're aware of that project.
No. Tell us.
Oh, so I was having a conversation some years ago with, I don't know if you know the librettist and the songwriter Gene Shear.
Yes.
He partners a lot with with all Tobias Picker and Jake Hagee. And he and I were having coffee and we were talking about the fact that a lot of African American women, what we first started talking about, opera singers grew up in the church.
Yes.
Right? And then I said, well, not just opera singers, you know. A lot of African American singers grew up in the church and went into Broadway, went into state and gospel, went into, you know, folk music, went into bluegrass, went into R&B. And so I said, wouldn't it be a great idea to do this project called Church, where we look at all these women who have grown up in the church, but branched out into different musical genres with and we could do an album and a CD-ROM, so that lets you know how far back that was. So with the gospel choir being a thread, and the common thread strung through all these different, women and these different arrangements and these different genres. And so that was part of my project that I did called Church. And so we took this piece that I loved, but a friend of mine, Tim, did a really cool, fun arrangement.
Added some seasonings to it.
Add the opera blend, right?
Exactly.
So
absolutely.
That was, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to get that. Can I still get that album, that CD?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And
okay.
I was sick as a dog for that. I was
in that clip.
I was so sick that I tried to cancel it. And it was my show. When I say my show, I produced it, right?
Yeah.
I produced that show through my company, Carmen Productions. We had Patti LaBelle. We had Take Six.
What?
Yeah. They all joined me on the show. It was a PBS show called Denyce Graves Breaking the Rules, right? So that's what that was. And I said, and I was so sick. I was at the doctor's office and said, Denise, you really can't sing. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to, everything was in place. And at that time I was appointed cultural ambassador to the United States. And so the State Department would send me out on different missions all over the world, particularly where there was a strong Muslim concentration to sort of, to go and listen and share and exchange in music. And I just come back from Venezuela and I was sick as a dog. And I said, I can't do this. And everybody said, you're gonna have to find a way to do this. You're gonna have to dig down deep, honey child, and you're gonna have to find a way to make this thing happen because we're all here. We can't, you know what I mean? This is happening one night. You're gonna have to make it happen.
Wow.
So that's what I remember about that. I remember how sick I was.
Well, that's the sign of great technique that you can sing through that. That's just amazing. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my go-to things that it's in my YouTube rotation and it'll just come on and it's so fabulous.
You have so many fantastic people on your show. I mean, just the trio that you had with those ladies. I mean, this wonderful thing that Jana sang from the HBO. Oh my God.
Outrageous, right? Outrageous. And she recorded that during quarantine times.
In her house, in the
gorgeous.
We did the Porgy together. It was my first time with it. And I know you've sung the role, but I was the real virgin on, they had mostly everybody had done the part before.
You were great. I saw it 3 times.
You saw it 3 times.
I did because so many of my friends were in different casts, and so I had to come Like when Karen Slack went on as Serena, I diverted a flight from a gig and arrived a day late so that I could see her. Yeah, we went to high school together. I couldn't let my dear friend that go. And then I love Jana so much, so I had to get her performance in there. And then I wanted to see Kevin Short, so I had to maneuver 3 times.
Holy moly, that was something. That was
Yeah.
something. They were all beautiful. I mean, each performance so different and so uniquely who they are,
Yeah.
So much fun. But, when they asked me about that, I had always thought that, Mariah was for an older woman. Because years ago, back in 1980, it was 85, 86, Simon Estes with, oh gosh, who did that? But it was Greg Baker.
Was it Leona Mitchell or
No.
Grace?
No, I want to say it wasn't Roberta Alexander. It was not, but
Clement Dale or
nope.
As Bess, you mean, or as
But anyway, Barbara Conrad did Mariah, and I heard her do it, and she was beautiful. She was beautiful. But I had in my mind that it was for, a much older woman, and so when my manager came to me with that offer, I was like, "What? That's for old people? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not supposed to, And so I was really, really, really nervous about it because I also, Kenneth, didn't want to play her in a sort of stereotypical way. That was really important to me. That I wasn't sort of this like always, hands on the hip, I wanted her to be saucier and sassier because I think she is, because there's no way she says the things that she says. And there's also no way to be an entrepreneur at that time, to own your own business if you didn't have some sort of some sort of savvy and some sort of, wherewithal, about you. And so, and I think I was coming to this particular role in this house with people who'd done it, before, and they'd all like done it all over the place.
Yeah.
And I would say it took me a while to try to find out who I was as this particular character.
Well, I'm glad that you did that. And that's a lesson for everybody to sort of carve out your own way, your own portrayal, and to not mimic or imitate someone else's, because the world has already seen and experienced someone else's portrayal. So we don't need that again. We need your original, your first, your way.
That's right.
And so I have to say then, congratulations on the anniversary of your debut, 25 years. Like, what is that?
I know. When they told me, I was like, what, really? Kidding me? Because you know how it is as a singer. You're just so concentrated on what's in front of you.
Yes.
You're not really like counting. Although I know some people who do. I worked a lot with Neil Shikoff, and he kept an incredible journal of everything that he did. Like whenever he sang in a city, what hotel he stayed in, which room he stayed in that hotel.
Wow.
He kept impeccable records of everything that he did. And I'm sorry that I didn't do that. Flicka von Stade told me that her best friend did that for her.
Wow.
It's sort of, as she was going into the twilight, she already had the information there for her memoirs.
Yeah.
Because somebody was keeping track of that the whole time. And I was just running from one engagement to the next, just trying to keep my head above water, running from one engagement. I wasn't writing, things down or keeping records in that way. So when they told me, I said, what? It's been 25 years? You must be kidding me. I just feel like I'm just starting to get going. You must be kidding.
Yeah, absolutely. I sort of kind of did that, but I only did it with Porgy because I got offered the title role when I was 29. And it was weird because I didn't audition for it. It just sort of came to me. And so I called Alvy Powell, Donnie Ray Albert, and Gordon Hawkins. And I said, fellas,
Talk to me.
you guys were the first Porgies I ever saw. Help me. Can I do this? Do you think I should do it? And they were like, yes, here's the torch. Go for it. And then like 14 years later, I had reached 100 performances. And I remember documenting all of them.
No.
Yeah. And then after the 103rd performance, because it went from 95 to 103 in the same run. And then after that, I stopped doing it. I put it away for a long time. But yeah, I journaled it. And to look back on it, it's pretty insane. My knees are still intact, thank God. But
my knees fell out doing Suzuki so many times. All night long. That's what messed me up. And
I
then
bet.
jumping on and off the tables, that'll do it. But I'm every single time. And when I was in the arena with Neil Shikoff, who in Act 3, would I'd be on my knees and who would drag me around the stage. That stuff will beat you up pretty quickly. But it's amazing that you got through with your knees intact. So molto bravo for that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And what's incredible, I was speaking with Donnie Ray Albert just the other day, because his wife, is wonderful in the kitchen.
Is she?
Well, his wife. And whenever he and I would work together on something, his wife would make me a coconut cake.
Ooh.
And leave coconut cake at the hotel for me. And I'm not even kidding. One of the most delicious things you ever put in your mouth. And he wrote to me the other day. He said, my wife has been watching your cooking show, and so if I send her some of the opera blend, I may get a coconut cake out of it. Talking about himself, like if he was able to get that, then his wife would make him a coconut cake. So I think that's what was going to happen. But his wife is just incredible with that. I mean,
wow.
But another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful soul. All of them. Alvy Powell, all of them.
Yep.
Did you know that there were so many incredible Black artists?
I found out when I did my first Porgy production. It was in Austria at the Bregenzer Festspiele. And I arrived there, I was 23 or 24, and it was my first time in Europe, first time leaving the country. And I walked into the room and there were like 80 Black people. There, Donnie Ray, Arthur Woodley, and Gordon Hawkins were all alternating Porgy.
Get out.
And then Myra Merritt, Marquita Lister, Cynthia Heyman, Monique Fadayomi, Angela Simpson, Tashina Vaughn, George Shirley. They were all in this production. And here I am like, what's happening? I've never been around that many singing Black people in the opera in my life at that point. It was huge.
You said Bregenz auf der Bodensee.
Yeah.
You said Australia, or was it an Australian production?
No, it was Austria.
Austria, I see.
Yeah, it's the production that sits in Lake Constance. Like the set is in the water and the people are, and it's outdoors, 7,000 seats. We did 30 performances. Crazy.
I did Carmen there once, where the donkey gave birth on stage during my card aria. That happened.
Oh my God.
I was like, wait, nobody knew that the donkey was pregnant?
Or close to having it. My goodness.
Had the baby on the stage.
Oh my God. So how do
crazy things happened to us during that production? It was wild.
Do you ignore that? How do you keep going?
You have to. I mean, you have to. You have to just keep going. It's a real test to, I had an experience once where I went back to Oberlin College, my alma mater, to give a recital. I was doing a residency. And I had a little white dog at that time, an American Eskimo, and who used to go with me everywhere. And I actually hired a dog sitter to keep the dog during the recital. And Warren Jones and I were, I don't know, we were singing. And I don't know how this happened, But the dog got loose and ran across the stage when I was singing Mon Coeur, sat at my feet and started howling, woo, woo, the whole time. And I said, all right, Denise, like while I was singing, I said, you've got a great opportunity here to see if you can get this audience back, because everybody fell out.
Of course.
I mean, and I was in the middle of the song singing. And I used that to say, if I can get this audience back, I mean, for me, it was a real test.
Yeah.
See if I could reel them back in. Honey, I was singing, and this is, to your point of what you were talking about earlier about, finding, meaning and colors and textures. I was singing like my life depended on it, because I was determined that I was going to get the attention back of the audience when my little dog was at my feet howling during the thing.
Wow.
And I did too. I did. But anyway, the dog ran out on the stage. That was crazy. So, it was like, yep, you got to just keep going. What are you going to do? I mean,
what are you going to do?
I did a Carmen in San Francisco Opera with Barry Macaulay, God rest his soul, where Marilyn Horne was supposed to do that production, and then she had to have knee surgery. And then they hired Kathleen Kuhlman, and she got sick. And I was just out of the Houston Grand Opera studio. And they hired me, to come and sing Carmen. And Barry Macaulay and I got in a fight as the characters on stage, and I broke my leg on the stage. And I kept going. And
my God.
That was something. That was something.
Singing Carmen with a broken leg?
Yeah. I mean, after that, it broke it because we were having a fight on the staircase, and I was wearing character shoes, and the heel of my particular character shoes had nails in them because I had to dance the flamenco. So I had the real like flamenco shoes with the nails in the bottom of them. So stuck on a part of the scenery on the staircase, and I fell backward.
Oh. Ouch, 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 ouch.
Exactly. So then the next performance, I spent that night. Oh, let me tell you what happened. Okay. So let me tell you, I've kind of given it away now. Anyway, I was on the elevator of where I was staying, at the apartment where I was staying, and there was a man on the elevator and said, "Oh, Miss Graves, I know that tonight is the opening, and I want to say break a leg." And I said, "Oh. Don't say that." And he said, "Well, what should I say?" I say, "We say in Boca Lupo." Okay, so he said, "Well, whatever you said, that to you." Okay. So I went that night, I broke my leg. I spent the night in the emergency room with them, putting me in a cast and all that stuff. I came back with Sarah Billinghurst, brought me back at about 3 a.m. I get on the elevator, I run into the same guy, except that time I had a cast all the way up my leg. And I said, "You see, I told you not to say that." He was like, "Oh my God, you really did it. You really did it." But
wow.
That happened on and so then the next day, the papers had a really good time talking about the casting of Carmen and, the hobbled habanera, and, because I had to, around in this walking cast, but it was
my gosh.
It was the sexiest I ever felt, actually. It was
wow.
Yeah, it was. So I did the remainder of the run, and guess what? Carolyn Blackwell was there for Giovanni. She broken her leg.
What?
Yeah, I know you just had her on.
Yeah,
photographed somewhere, and somebody else in Giovanni broke their leg too. And so we took a picture of the three of us in our cast. Yeah, that happened.
I'm glad I didn't know that when I got to San Francisco, because that's not a club I wanted to join.
Well, it had to do, like, if the title was if the title character was the title of the opera, that if it was Don Giovanni, a Carmen, we discovered that that's what the key was.
My goodness. Now, speaking of one of your other signature roles, Dalila, I was searching, and I found this excerpt, which I thought was so beautifully done and so sexy and smoldering. But I also want to ask you after the clip, what is it like to sing in the position that you were singing in? Watch this. Oh, come on.
Well, was that Sergei Larin?
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He's gone now.
What?
Oh, for many, many, many years.
Had he been ill?
He got ill suddenly, but he's gone on now many years.
Oh, I didn't know.
We did a lot together. Lovely fella.
And the other thing that I saw you with him, because I wanted to ask you about your singing partners, because you sang with, I would say, 5 men consistently, and he was one of them. I remember you singing at the Richard Tucker Gala with him in the big Carmen scene.
Yeah, I loved him. And you know what? Speaking about Auf der Bodensee, we were in Bregenz. We did a Carmen together in Bregenz together. And you remember Auf der Bodensee, they had those little tiny microphones
Yes.
here because it was outside and it was
Yes.
And one night my microphone went out. So I was like chasing him around the stage, trying to
get into his head.
He was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Denise. I was like, "Sergey, stay still." I was trying to but I loved him. But you know what? That wasn't one of the most difficult times. I did Delilah 7 months pregnant at Covent Garden with Jose Cura. Now that was something. And on my back. That was something with my baby like kicking like crazy. That was something.
My goodness.
That was a different spin on that story. after the fact.
Right. Oh my goodness. My.
Yeah, no, it wasn't so uncomfortable. Sometimes you can feel really aligned because but you know how it is when you have to do something, you do it. You rise to that moment, but that wasn't as contorted as I have been for some other things. And
Gotcha.
being pregnant, that was probably one of the more uncomfortable times, when I did it, but I wasn't there.
Now, talk about being a mom, because on the interviews that I've watched of you, you just glow when you talk about being a mom and being a wife, and understanding the beauty and the weight of that responsibility. How did that change you as an artist and as a woman becoming a mom?
So Ronald Smith told me that you did it, and I've not seen that particular broadcast, that you did one with women and talking about
Yes.
taking their babies along,
Yes.
the nannies and the moms and all that along the road, and
Yeah.
finding where could you nurse and all of that sort of thing. I didn't see that one, but I'll have to go back into the archives and find out to watch. Well, I got into the game late. I got late with everything. So, and my children have all been an incredible miracle. I mean, all children are miracles. Babies are miracles, but mine were real miracles. Real miracles. Someday I'll have to tell you those stories of how they came. So, I was already, as they say, I was already up there, by the time they came along. So I was incredibly, first of all, shocked because it wasn't planned.
Okay.
And incredibly grateful,
Mhm.
So, and I was grateful that I have my mother, who came with me everywhere and made that part of it so much easier for me, because I didn't have to worry so much. I mean, we just all went together, right? Like, okay, we're all going, on the engagement. So that part about it was really, really, really beautiful, because I was still able to do what it is that we love doing, and be able to support my family doing it. And not having to worry, oh my gosh, I got to get back because the babysitter, and
Right.
it was my mother. And there wasn't anybody that I trusted the kids more with, than her. So that part has been great. I would say that it's put things into, I know you know what I'm going to say, into perspective, but also particularly for me, because that wife and motherhood came later to me in
Okay.
life. And it was all an incredible shock and surprise. And it's been hard work. It's been hard work to do this. I think it's probably easier for men
Mhm.
than it is
Absolutely.
to be gone when you're the mother. I think it's much more difficult to go missing,
Yes.
and it's hard to do that sometimes on the road. But I would say there has been a real deepening for me. There's been, as we talked about earlier, the same thing I would say has come into play where it comes to my students too, because I had been so incredibly myopic when it comes to my career. I've always been like really, really focused on what it is I was doing, and that caused me to have to focus differently. And not perhaps worry so much about some things. And really, I feel like gave me something to sing about.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, made me, put me much more in my heart. My heart really, really overflows.
Yeah.
Cup really runneth over in gratitude for not having missed that. At the beginning of my career, I went to speak with Marilyn Warren and sit in her home and talk about the business. And she said, whatever you do, don't miss that.
Wow.
Just that. And I realized that that's not for everyone, and it was quite something to say, because that's not something that every person desires.
Absolutely.
And we'd had a lot of heartbreak where that was concerned, a lot of heartbreak. And so I just sort of accepted that my life was going to be a certain way. And it all came as a complete, like, what? Complete surprise, total surprise.
Well, actually, somebody's knocking at my door, and it's a surprise. And they wanted to say a couple of words.
Oh, hey, girl. I saw you the other day. I saw an announcement about your singing a Tosca somewhere.
I am, hopefully, in Austin.
In Austin.
I'm so glad because I'm from Texas. And so I'm always excited when I get a chance to have my family come and see me sing. And I'll sing anywhere in Texas. I mean, really, in backwoods, suburbs, parking lot, whatever. As long as my family can come, that's what it means so much to my mama. Just that I'm actually there. She doesn't care where. She's like, just Houston, Austin, Dallas, anywhere in Texas, we are there. So
I'm sure that's true. LaTonya, it's great to see you, and thank you so much for being so kind and generous to me with my students. You made that video for my students that time. I don't know if you ever saw my student Simone, but I know there was a lot of volleying back and forth. And
yes, absolutely. Actually, I have been in touch with one of your really good students, Simone Harcum, so that I can get in and start working, do some role work with her. So I'm hoping she'll get back to me. Anyway, Denise, it is just so wonderful to see you. And after watching all of this has been kind of eye-opening because, although I've worked with you, I don't know you super well, but I'll go back to when I first knew you, and that was at the Academy of Vocal Arts. And you were coming in with your cute puppy dog to see, you were doing coachings, I think, with Peggy Baruti.
Yep.
And I was just in love. You would come in there, and I remember other singers asking me, they're like, she's Denyce Graves. Why is she coming here to coach? What is she doing? I was just like, aren't you crazy? If y'all learn nothing, you never stop coaching.
That's right.
Even Itzhak Perlman was still rocking the lessons, honey. It doesn't matter. Yes, of course, you're a superstar. You know what I mean? But, when it comes down to it, I really appreciated the fact that you were doing that because it showed me at that young age. I was just like, it doesn't matter how good you think you've gotten, how much you've learned. You have a lot more to learn always because, our body keeps changing. We keep changing, and that stuck with me. Just
wow.
and like work your throat, work it up and down, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you, because I stalked. I would sit out in the hallway. And the other thing is, people always think when you're a superstar that everything comes out perfect. No, you go into a coaching to iron out kinks, people. You know what I mean? And that's what taught me. I would hear Denise grow and grow and grow in coachings, and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean?
There's a whole lot of cussing goes on in my coaching.
It's just so incredible. And, I never imagined that I would get to work with you. And during Porgy, I'll tell you what, when I got in that first rehearsal and I heard you singing Mariah, I went, that's not how I've heard it done before. What is happening here? But let me tell you what, you changed my mind. You convinced me. You changed everybody's mind. Because when we were going there expecting to hear a stereotype and you hit us with reality, it was a wake-up call, for a lot of us. It helped me too because I was new to the role of Serena too. And so I caught a lot of flack for the way I was singing it, not doing it traditionally the way it's supposed to be. Your voice is not dark enough. It's not this enough. Serena wouldn't be doing that. But I think the amazing thing about seeing you develop your own Mariah is I felt so comfortable in my skin to do my own Serena. I felt like I could do anything, and yes, the whole cast was incredible, but if I was inspired by anybody, it was you. Because you came in and you did your own thing. There's no way you could have come in and done a traditional Mariah because I think what was so amazing about the fact that you did your own thing is that there was a piece of you in it. You're sensual, laid back woman, no nonsense kind of chick. And that's exactly what we got in your Mariah. And I was living for it. I thought you were incredible. And I think you were
That's
just so
something.
incredible. And that Delilah clip was just so juicy. I was falling apart in here.
How many times did that guy touch my
There,
boobs?
mama.
Oh my God. He would just kept his hands on my boobs. I just saw that. I was like, what?
Honey, it looked like you wanted them there.
No, I didn't. No, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care at all. You can do whatever to me on stage.
Yes, well, you know, look, we're stage beings, and when it comes down to it, you know what I mean. For as sensual as you were singing, I mean, you were just spinning these phrases, and I commented saying that I love that you sang all the way through the end of your air. Woo, on that second phrase, I couldn't even believe it. You know, it's funny. A lot of singers don't want to take a chance like that, right? And they want to play it very, very safe, and they're like, I don't want it to sound like I'm running out of air, and I'm like, that's what's so exciting about it is you using every bit of it. And I just found it so incredible. I just think you're
Tanya,
incredible.
thank you so much. Kenneth, this is why this is so important what you're doing. And I heard the ladies say that when you had the triple threat with all the girls with Janai, whichever one. I feel bad for Janai and Janae because they're gonna the whole career, the entire career, everybody's gonna say the other one, and then
The other one.
no, that's Janai. That's the thank God there one is soprano, one is a mezzo. But
Exactly.
that's why it's so important to show that you're doing. You had those three sopranos up there, these three gorgeous contemporaries, these three gorgeous girls, three gorgeous singers, and they all supported each other.
Yes.
That was-
Yes.
and I think that LaTanya and I saw each other every night, and we would chit chat. But you don't know what the other person is thinking. You don't know what the other person's feeling, and you don't know in which way you're impacting that other person. And you impacted me a lot too. I'm going to tell you how. First of all, I would say that you are somebody who's a real stage animal, who just like takes over the stage and who's not afraid of the stage. That's number one. The other thing that I saw that I really admired, and I'm not this way, is that you were incredibly warm and friendly with everybody in the rehearsal space. Like you came in, everybody's like, LaTanya, everybody's high-fiving and stuff like this. And you made a point to like be talking. I would see you on the breaks and whatever scenes, mixing it up with everybody. That was one thing. And then the other thing is that, there are many things that I could say, is that you threw yourself into, like, you embodied this woman. And there was a woman, I don't remember her name. She ended up pregnant and she had the twins. Do you remember?
LaToya.
You know her too?
Yes.
You would come down the stage, when you came down the staircase for the My Man's Gone Now, and you were so into it, her eyes every night would split me in half because her eyes were filled with tears. And she kept, because look at what happened. This is how energy works. Because of your commitment and total embodiment of Serena affected not just her, but everybody on the staircase. Everybody in the theater, everybody on the stairs. And so this just went around and around, and we all kept each other engaged and locked in the characters, because from what was emanating from you, what you were giving from this woman affected everybody. And I would see you reflected in her, which would come back and hit me at my core, right? So this thing that was just going all around the stage, yes, Crystal, this thing that was going on, this incredible, visceral energy that was going around the stage was because, you were so completely committed to forget about how you sang it. That's a whole nother conversation we can do about how LaTonya sang, Serena. That can be a whole show. Just you're singing Serena. Forget about Aida and Tosca, as they call it in Boston. All these other roles. The level of your commitment to it, and that was really something. So I wouldn't have ever known that you received any pushback from anyone saying, "Oh, it shouldn't be like that, or I don't know. I don't.
I tell you, Denise, though, it was the biggest reason that I threw myself as far as I could into not only the role, but into everybody in the entire company, in the ensemble, in the whole production. You know, when I started to feel that sort of, oh, she needs to do it this way, and it's hard because so many people, they've done Porgy so long. I had done only this production. So for me,
Wow.
I was just like, I'm really green. Please don't be too hard on me. But people naturally were. And because I felt that, I used it. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to turn it all into sunshine right now. And I'm going to reach out because we need to build this family energy in order to pull off the funeral scene. And I know it's so funny that I focus specifically on that, but we're talking about a woman who is always trying to lift up the community and pray for them, finally meeting somebody to lift her up entirely. Because she
Wow.
doesn't have anything left. There's no restraint anymore. And she's letting everybody into how she really feels. So a part of me, LaTanya, had to do that too. And once I did that, I believe that a lot of the people on stage, felt like that there was a little more to it. And so I was so glad, because that's the reaction you should be getting out of your colleagues. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one where they're affected more deeply than the acting. So I appreciate you saying something like this more than anything, especially because your character was so incredible. I mean, it was so wonderful. It was so just well thought out. You were so consistent, and it was inspirational. It really was, from the very beginning, from rehearsal one, when I, like others, sat there and went, this is not how Mariah's supposed to be. You're like, yes, it is. And we said, okay, yes, it is. This
Oh,
is the
wow.
way. I mean, absolutely fantastic. I mean, it speaks to you as something higher than just, an opera star. It shows me why you got there, that you earned your spot and you deserve it, because you keep doing things like that, being an original. I
Oh,
appreciate it deeply.
oh, thank you. Well, you said that to me one night, when we were, at our little table drinking our tea with a little shot of, bourbon in it.
Little shot something saying.
Yeah, you said to me near the end, you said, you really made this role your own. And I just really appreciated your saying that. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. But, it's very interesting, these discussions that you were talking about, Kenneth, because you get to know people so intimately and so differently. As I was saying, we all present the personas, right? But that's not, it wasn't until I sat down with Larry Brownlee and everybody was like, what? You live on a farm? Like, what? We thought this girl who's like, I don't know what people thought, but people are never who you imagine them to be.
Exactly.
Right? There's always so much more to people, and so I really appreciate, you're saying that, LaTanya, and I really, I didn't know that it was new for you as well. I didn't even know
Yes.
that.
We had opened the production in London, so I had, I guess, about 9 months, it was about a total year of prep before I got to the Met, but it was in the same production, and it was with mostly the same people. We rotate a little bit. Obviously, once we got to the Met, we had switched people out a good bit, but it was my first production, and I'd been dying to do Porgy for years, and people wouldn't hire me for it. Seriously, Denise, I'd done 2 concert versions as Bess. And I was asking to do Serena, but so many girls were amazing at Serena already. They're like, why would we take a chance at you? We already got these amazing ones. I'm like, give me a shot, Lord.
But your aria was the only aria that stopped the show every night. It was the only aria that stopped the show. It's true. That stopped the show every single night. It's fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you. But I'll tell you, just from an audience perspective, I gotta say, I mean, any Serena I see, she sings the aria and gets from point A to point B from beginning to end and rocks it. I am standing out of my seat. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard some really incredible Serenas. I mean, my very favorite one is Angela Renee Simpson. She knows, you know what I mean? But I mean, this woman will come out and just pour out sound. sound. And I mean, just the sound alone stopped the show. You know what I mean? I'm just, good Lord in heaven. But I mean, I think that Gershwin absolutely meant it to be that way, you know? And I think that it's one of those scenes where, you know, everybody's playing a character and suddenly this one is a bit disconnected. And it doesn't, when you look at the rest of the show, things are not sung that way and things don't happen that way. This is finally somebody that's like always trying to keep it together, you know, opening it up. So, I mean, I think that, look, I'm not trying to demean what I did, but so that aria is a show-stopping aria. And Gershwin really hit the nail on the head with it. I mean, what a fantastic piece of music. The entire funeral scene is just so gorgeous. And aside from that aria, probably the chorus singing the Gone, 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 Where is Brother Robbins? And when all these women would come in with these fantastic voices, I have never in my life heard so many incredible singers, so many incredible Black singers.
Everybody was a solo.
Just, it was so stunning, and it was such a stunning sound. I mean, you know, if anything, how can we not give all we got when you hear a sound like that? When you hear people just spinning these tones, I mean, it brings out a certain energy in you. You know, you want to give.
Yeah, it was I think it was a really, really, really proud moment for everybody. You know, to be with this incredible group of, you know, I don't know, like 60, 70, 80 people making their Met debuts. Simultaneously. It was extraordinary. You know, it was extraordinary. And like LaTonya said, you know, every time somebody would sing, you know, open their mouth for a little solo, you go, what? You know, everybody was a soloist. Spectacular. You know, they told me that the auditions were so difficult that they heard over 300 singers. And they said that, Don said that they just didn't even know what to do. They were like, can we just flip a coin? Like, we don't even know. They said they heard one spectacular singer after the next.
Yeah.
Just one after the other. And they just did not even, they said it was one of the hardest things that they had to do was trying to choose.
Yeah. And they said after a while, they were just like, we started to look at people and go, okay, we have a lot of people that are tall women. Let's get some shorter. Let's get some older. Let's just start, you know, picking these. Because I ran into a singer on the street who had auditioned for the ensemble and she didn't get in. And I told her exactly what you just said, you know, Maestro Palombo and David Moody, you know, with how they were talking about how incredible the singers were at the auditions. And I told her, everybody was so good. They wanted to take everybody. They had no choice but to turn people down. I said, so you shouldn't feel discouraged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody went in was incredible. And I have no doubt that you went in and you were incredible too. It was just luck of the draw. I said, but luckily, as we know with Porgy and Bess around the world, it comes around and comes around.
It's going to come around again.
So it's going to come around.
There was a beautiful story. I'll just share this with you. Some seasons before, I was at the Met for something. I don't remember. I was in the audience is what I'm saying. I don't know what it was I was seeing. And during one of the intermissions, I was chatting with one of the ushers, just chatting with him. How you doing? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. So he tells me he's a singer. And I said, you know what? I hear that in a couple of seasons, they're going to be doing Porgy and Bess here. So you should audition for it. He said, oh, really? I said, yeah, you should audition for it. First day of rehearsal. I walk through the door and I'm like, oh my God. The guy who was the usher, and that was fabulous.
Amazing.
That was gorgeous. What a
amazing,
beautiful story. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Every time I looked at it, I was like, my heart, I can't even believe it. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, LaTonya, I wanted to thank you for coming by. Denise, I wanted to make this interview a little different and a little special for you. And so I reached out to LaTonya and I said, would you come on and say a few words about what Denise means to you? And she said, of course, of course, of course, of course. And so thank you, my dear, my sister. I adore you. I love you.
I love you too. And I love you, Denise. I'm a fan for life. I really am. It was so special for me to come and see you today, and your cooking show is outrageous, and I just keep giggling and smiling. I just love it, and I look forward to seeing you again. I know we'll be working again together. So
Again and again and again, from your mouth to God's ears. So I have this project that I've been talking to the Met about, because you remember what happened on our show. So I approached the Met about doing Mariah's Tavern cookbook, because everybody, people would come and leave these imaginary, it was like a game that we had in the show. They would leave these imaginary menus, and we'd always talk food. And I said, in the South, the Southern cuisine is like off the chain. And I said, we should do a Mariah's Tavern cookbook and have everybody in their costumes submit.
Oh, wow.
Sort of, I'm working on
I am in.
I'm in.
Right?
I'm buying the copies. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
energy out there for that.
Yes. Well, thank you, LaTanya. I love you, sis.
I love you too, baby.
We'll talk soon.
Love you too, LaTanya. Thank you.
Bye, Denise.
Thank you so much. What a surprise! You are just full of surprises. You found her. You get LaTanya.
Yeah. And speaking about your cooking show, I wanted to let everybody know how they can be informed about how to find your stuff, where to look for your stuff. And so I wanted to play this clip and give everybody that information.
Hi, I'm Denyce Graves, and welcome to my new website, our own private theater. You probably know me as the mezzo-soprano opera singer in such leading roles as Carmen, Charlotte, and Delilah, to name a few. But there are many other important roles that I star in every day. I am so happy and grateful to be a mother, a teacher to young musicians, a devoted wife, a sister, a daughter, and a caring friend. My new website will give you the opportunity to learn more about my life and passions, as well as stay informed of upcoming engagements, new recordings, and have access to streaming media. So enjoy, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
So beautiful.
You have done your homework. I tell you, you are really, and you're doing this every week. And you had just the ladies the other day, so this turnaround was quick.
Yeah, it was quick because Barbara Hendricks and Roberta Alexander are in Europe, and Harolyn was here in New York, and so to get the time zones right and everybody's schedule, but they were just delightful and incredible. And
I know they were.
Yeah,
I've seen it, but I'm going to.
Yeah. So everybody look at the ticker tape. That's Denise's website address. So go and sign up on her mailing list. And that's her Instagram. Make sure you follow her and follow her here on Facebook and all of that good stuff. So now, Denise, listen, I wanted to ask you, because you are a true fashionista, but what you sent me the other day was, again, another oh my God moment, because I'm going to show the audience a picture of this gown. Everybody, this gown was worn by Marian Anderson, and it was also worn by Denyce Graves. And here's a picture of the back of it. Just absolutely, positively stunning. So will you tell us, how did it come that you were able to wear that gown? Where did you wear it to? And where is the gown now?
So in the early 90s, I was a recipient of the Marian Anderson Award, and this was when Miss Anderson was still alive. And I actually spent the weekend with her at her home in Danbury, Connecticut on her farm. And we spent 2 days together that were magnificent, just magnificent. Oh, I should have sent you some of those photos of us together. And, she opened up her closet and let me play dress up. And she said, "Is there a gown in here that you would like?" Are you kidding me? And so she gave me that Kerenska gown, that satin gown.
Wow.
Wore 3 times, only wore it for special occasions. I did a CD called Angels Watching Over Me. That's her gown. We did the reenactment of, her famous concert at the Lincoln Memorial. We did that in Washington, D.C. I wore it for that. And I wore it for another Marian Anderson celebration at the Kennedy Center. So I wore it 3 times. And then after that, I donated it to the Smithsonian. But
wow.
It's so incredibly precious. I felt that it belongs in the Smithsonian for sure.
Absolutely.
It's at the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
And so this other gown, which I believe I saw you wear on that Richard Tucker gala, this one. Tell us about this gown. My goodness.
That was a Carmen production at Washington National Opera. And what happened was I fell in love with those costumes so much that I got in touch with Donna Langman, who's the costumer. And I said, would you make these costumes for me? Because I would love to have them for concerts. And so she did. And I wore them for concerts. And then after that was over, the Smithsonian, again, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, came to me and asked if I wanted to donate one of my costumes. So I think I had one of Marian Anderson, Mattawilda Dobbs, and mine. And so that's in the Smithsonian Museum. And that's from that Carmen that we did with Washington National Opera. It's not that one, it's one that was an exact replica of it that was created for me by the same costumer.
My goodness, just amazing. You are living history, living her story. I love it.
Oh.
Now, I hear somebody knocking on my door again. And this...
Like this is your life or something.
Yeah, this young woman, I believe, this is just me, I believe your energy has seeped right into her for so many reasons and so many ways. And I called her and I said, would you come on and say a few words to Denise? And she said, oh my God, absolutely, of course, of course. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi.
We're talking about you.
Really?
Well, we just talked about Janae.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. I'm so happy to be here, Kenny. Thank you, my brother. Like, you are my brother for life. I love you so much. And speaking of Janae, that was the first moment. So I approached you on the street last year during Porgy and Bess. And I was just like, oh my God, okay, this is my moment. I've always wanted to contact you and I've just been kind of nervous about it. But I took that moment as a sign to say, okay, I have to approach this woman who is literally the reason why I sing opera and tell her how much I love her and who I am, first of all. So that moment, you were coming from, the backstage door where there's the driveway. And I introduced myself and you were confused a minute because there was the Janae. And I think it was the beginning of the rehearsal process where you met her. And I was like, I'm Janae Bridges. That's Janae Brugger. I'm a mezzo. She's a soprano. So I was just like so happy and nervous and all the good things. And then I somehow contacted you later and asked if we could get together. And you said yes. And it just, I treasure you so deeply. Not only for the obvious mezzo connection and repertoire reasons, but just for who you are. I have modeled my life after you. I think I can say that actually, because it's your spirit and your grace that you walk on stage. No one, I actually don't even need to hear you sing. You're just such a gem, you know? So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful to have you as a role model and all the good things, you know?
Oh, sweetheart, thank you so much. Well, I am just so proud of you and
Thank you.
proud of your well-deserved success. And, you know, it's been wonderful getting to know you some. You know, she came to my apartment in New York and we hung out and for hours about life and full circle moment, because I told you earlier that I did that with some people in the business, Marilyn Horn being one of them. And it's just so beautiful. And I was going to try. Hi,
Jeremiah. Oh my gosh. You texted me. I owe you a message.
I'm just so excited for you and all of the wonderful things that are happening for you and in your life and the way that you are inspiring others and changing the world and, you know, continuing in this beautiful, gorgeous art form that we all love so much and just showing a very, very different aspect. And, you know, as Kenneth was talking about earlier, you know, we have no choice but to be who we are. Because we've already seen, you know, other people do that, you know, whatever it is, like you and I share a lot of the same repertoire, but we're very, very different women, you know, with very, very different stories, with very, very different lenses, with a whole new fresh take on, you know, telling that story. And I'm just really proud of you. I'm really happy for you. And, you know, once we get through all of this, want you to just continue to keep going and get out there and, you know, blaze your path, honey. Just keep.
Wow. It means the world. It means the world to me. And
they were doing Dalila with Washington Opera. And then that was right at the time that everything.
I had my ticket.
You had his ticket, yes. And you, Denise, sent me flowers on opening night, and I was just like, I had to bite everything in my body to keep from crying because I had to sing. But I was just it was again a full circle moment, you know, and I just like Marian Anderson, you know, took you on. I just really felt your spirit and like I wanted to channel you and her in that moment, and it was a success. And I was wearing your costume.
You know what? I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago with Marshall LaBeouf. We were talking about that, and she said, you know, because I said, what were those to say? Because there's a photo shoot that I have coming up, and I wanted to use some costumes, and so she and I were talking about the possibility of that. And I said, you probably still don't have any of those around, do you? And she said, well, in fact, we do. We do, because we have the Delilah, because we just had, you know, Bridget's here doing it. And somebody asked me when I felt like I had made it, you know, in the profession. And I said, it used to be at the beginning of my career when I would try, you know, wear costumes. I'd see Horn, or I'd see Balsa, some of these. And for me, it was always like, one day I'm going to have my name in the costumes, right? And the day that I saw my name in the costume, I was like, yay! I got there. I did it. You know, I did it. And so that for me was the moment when I felt like I had arrived somewhere, when I had my name in the costume.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love
Marian Anderson, Denise.
So sweet. This is so special. It is so very special.
So lovely, Kenneth, and so sweet and kind of you to put this together and organize it like this. Thank you, and LaTonya, so much for this. I'll never forget this. My heart wants to explode and break through my chest cavity so much.
I love it.
I mean, I just have to say the way that you are expanding, like still expanding your I guess, brand, for lack of better words. It's so inspiring. And it it just goes to show that there are no limits as long as you don't limit your mind. And I just love that so much about you. You didn't say I can't have kids. You didn't say I can't have a family and a marriage and a husband. And I mean, you live your life, and I just adore you. And I adore you for that, because I think, we fall into these traps of, can we actually have all of this? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've really, really gained from you,
Oh, that's wonderful.
I just need this pandemic to be over so I can get back to that.
Well, we're getting there. We are getting there.
We are.
My husband tells me that this is all looking really, really, really good. And of course, we got the news today of the other one that's like, 94.5,
Yeah.
You can't even find that. You can't get a flu shot, that
Exactly.
kind of. So this is, the question is, of course, if people feel comfortable enough,
yeah,
to take it. But this is very, 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 this is very, very encouraging.
Absolutely.
Like we're gonna make it. We're gonna make
it
happen.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, Janae, thank you so much for stopping by, my dear.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you both so much. And
on
the other side of the screen one day.
Yes. I love you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Janae.
Thank you, Denise. I love you. Bye-bye.
I love you back. Oh, Kenneth, oh, wow. That's so lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your greatness, and you've inspired so many people, and you continue to do so. And you've not only, in your career, sung in all the places where people think you should have sung, but you reach out and you expand who Denise is and the artist that she is in so many other ways. I mean, you've sung for presidents and chief justices and Oprah Winfrey, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's just so incredible. And it's inspiring to know that you can look outside of the box and that your career doesn't have to mirror anyone else's or everyone else's. And you've carved one out so incredible. And it's inspiring.
But like I do, it's God's work.
Amen.
It's God. I'm just being led and guided to the place. It's heaven that's pulling the strings, and and creating the pathway for us to walk on. And our job is to do the work, is to honor the gift, right? To honor the gift and to do that work and put that work in, and then heaven makes it happen. And so God has revealed his face to me 100 times. So many times. And I know that I'm not alone on this path, on this walk. I know that it is, something that my soul has been called to do, and so
Amen.
I just want to honor that and do the best that I can do. And then you and Janae and all these wonderful people, Jackie Eccles and all of this incredible, treasure trove of these beautiful, beautiful artists that we're seeing right now who are so good.
Yeah.
Get out there and do their thing. And it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. And I just thank God for every moment.
Amen to that. I wanted to ask you also, or congratulate you on your new appointment at the Juilliard School. Amazing. First, because to my knowledge, there has never been a Black voice faculty member at this most prestigious school that has turned out so much Black talent, least of which, we're talking Leontine Price. Let's go all the way back.
Please.
And now, finally, so many people, so many of my friends have come through Juilliard, but finally, there is a beautiful representation on the faculty. How did that come about? Are you excited about it? Tell us all about this new experience.
I am excited. I have begun working with just a group of immensely gifted young artists. It's an awesome responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you see yourself reflected in them. You see these people who are so passionate, who are so incredibly talented, and they are entrusting you
Yes.
with their instruments, and with it, the responsibility is tremendous, right?
Tremendous.
Tremendous. And so, and I'm on my knees in front of that. I just want to do a really, really great job. Thank you, Adam. A really great job and honor who they are. And Brian Ziegler, who's running the program there, he and I have worked together for years and known each other for years. We've been musical collaborators for so many years. And I go around and I've been teaching the whole time, that I've been singing as well, and doing lots of master classes and that sort of thing. And so they'd hired me, back in the spring to work with their young artists. And there was some talk like, is this something that you would consider? And so I am completely honored, so thrilled, and just want to do really, really great work. Thank you, Marvin. There's the wonderful Marvin Mills. I don't know if you know him. Beautiful, beautiful pianist. And he and I have worked together a lot too. And he's arranged actually some spirituals for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's arranged lots of wonderful spirituals. I think it's on my piano. I should go find it and show it to you. But so I'm really, really excited about, thank you, Robert, about what lies ahead and the work that I'm doing. And as every time you work with them, you learn more. The position change. This teacher becomes a student. The student becomes a teacher. I learned so much more about my own singing voice, and they teach you what they need to be taught, right? So when you're ready, it shows up, right? When you're ready, the teacher shows up. And so it's been an incredible gift to my life. And as I've said, one that was unexpected. This particular gift of working with young emerging artists has been an incredible surprise to my life, because we are taught to be so focused on our own work. It never occurred to me that I would be as excited as I am about their successes and how invested I am in their success.
Yeah.
And that when they do well, I have never been as nervous for my own performances as I get nervous for theirs. The level of my excitement far surpasses any excitement that I had for myself, for my own work. It's been an incredible surprise to me, but so they have been wonderful gifts to my life and made my life more beautiful.
Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, Denise, I have these quick fire questions that I ask at the end of every interview. And some of them are taken from Inside the Actors Studio, the show with James Lipton.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
But then I changed some around to fit each guest differently. But before we do that, I wanted to tell the audience that next Monday's show is really, really special as well. I'm going to be celebrating 4 African-American men who are phenomenal collaborative pianists.
Oh!
Because so very often our pianists, our coaches, our repetiteurs, are the people who play our lessons, the people who play our recitals, they're overlooked. The singers get the shine. And so I wanted to put the shine on these men. And so Kevin Miller will be here. The amazing David Lofton will be here. The amazing Howard Watkins will be here.
Howard.
And the incredible Cliff Jackson will be here. I am over the moon to have these men on this panel to talk about their journey, their gifts, and how they deal with us crazy singers all the time, and what that career looks like. So tune in next week, same place, same time, where we salute our collaborative pianists. We love, 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 love them.
What a beautiful idea.
Yeah. All right. So, and it's so crazy. I've had you for over 2 hours. It feels, it's crazy.
It like went by like that.
Like that, because I want to talk about cooking with Denise. Like, where did that idea come from? It's amazing. I love the show, and it's so awesome that you've allowed us into your home, into your heart. Because people say the kitchen is the heart of the home,
That's
and
right.
then the way to a man's heart or a man's tummy is through his tummy. And so you do that so beautifully, so beautiful. I want to eat my screen when I'm watching your show. Where did the idea come from? And
thank you so much. When COVID hit, and thank you for your support on that. When COVID hit, I got in touch with all of my students to see how everybody was doing, because I just felt so awful, like everybody did, particularly for the students who were just beginning to get started, and all of a sudden that was aborted, and we didn't know what was going to happen, and we didn't know what was going to. So I was in touch with all of my students to kind of see where they were and what was going on. And we created some virtual choirs just to create community and to lift people up. And after I did Larry Brownlee's show and talked about my life here, on what my life is really like, on the farm, there was so much interest. Like, what? You live on a farm? Like, I did not expect that,
Right.
Because I also have a place in New York, but really where my home is, and I always say where I'm coming home is back to our farm here. And I've always loved cooking, and singers love eating, and singers love cooking.
Yes.
It would be a sort of a gift to my students to sort of lift them out of the despondency that a lot of people were feeling when COVID hit, and like, what are we going to do now? And this whole idea of nurturing the body and nurturing our souls, and nurturing, and this idea of the kitchen being the center of the home. And I wanted a way to nurture my students, to put something back into them, because they were feeling like they were being drained, and some of them were left empty, and some of them really didn't know what was going to happen. And I didn't really have the answer either, because we've never been here before.
Right.
And I wanted to do something that was going to build community, and that was going to be a gift, and that would be fun. Right. So it was really because of my students, but there were a lot of things that happened, and I love cooking, and the people who know me know that. They know that I love parties. I love planning parties. I love having everybody gathered around the table. I love making things beautiful. And also during COVID, with my family being home, with Ella and Max being home, and my husband being home as well, and with the farm, I was telling the kids, look, we're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to get out there in your gardens. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And Max, that's for girls. I don't want to do that kind of thing. And then when things started growing from their gardens, like, they were like, oh my God, that's my cantaloupe, and oh my God, that's my watermelon. And I was, because we were home all the time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the time, trying to find creative ways to make our time together fun. And so I was always taking pictures, sending them to my friends, saying, look what I did today, or look what I made today. Or I got this from the garden, and look at what we did today. And they were always saying, Denise, this is gorgeous. You should, you should do something about this. So all of that sort of converged and happened simultaneously. So the idea was born.
Fantastic. Well, we need several more seasons of that.
Thank you.
And we need a corresponding cookbook.
So we are looking into all of those things. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm just putting it out in the universe. We need all of that.
Let's put it out there. We need for that to happen.
Absolutely. All right. So to the quick fire questions. What is your favorite word?
I think it's love. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your least favorite word?
A few, but the word that I cannot tolerate from anybody is the N-word.
I agree. I can't tolerate from anybody.
I don't want to hear it. I know the argument about reclaiming it and using it as a weapon. I know all of that.
Nope.
I don't want to hear anybody say it. I cannot.
Nope.
stand it.
And when Oprah said on one of her shows, she said one of the reasons why she can't, sign on to it is because that's often the last word that somebody heard as they were hung from a tree. And so I cannot validate the word in any sort of formation. I agree with that. Thank you.
My mother used to say to me when I was little, my mother used to say that, where Black people were concerned, that the shackles have been taken off of the ankles and wrapped around the mind. Right? And so, yes, you continue to do the enemy's work. And I just want to say that I believe that the enemy is always evil. It has been that.
And always busy.
Between, Black and white, the struggle and the enemy has always been evil. And that can come all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
That you continue the work of those that meant for that to harm you. You continue their work. You can call it what you want to say. You can say, yeah, I own it. And yeah, we can use it amongst us. I don't want to hear anybody say it. And the reason that it stayed in the vernacular, I mean, we used to have terrible words for all kinds of, different people, but that one has stayed around because people continue to use it.
Yeah.
That's why I cannot stand it from anybody.
Me either. Next question. What profession other than your own would you like to have attempted?
Writing.
Aha.
Without a doubt.
Wow. Okay. Like novel writing?
Yep. Absolutely.
Aha.
And our friend Ron Smith, you know how gifted he is?
With words? Yes.
He's a wordsmith. He is brilliant. And I am after him every day. We've known each other for, 40 years.
Yeah.
And every day I say, if you don't write, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Like if you are he's one of the most erudite people that I know. Every time I speak to him, it's like a master class. Every time I speak to him, I say, I wish I'd recorded that. I wish I'd recorded that. And it just rolls out of him.
Yep, he's a walking thesaurus. And on the opposite side, what profession other than your own would you never want to attempt?
What I never want to attempt. I think a music critic.
Interesting. Okay. Are you someone who reads reviews or you don't bother?
I don't, but they always find their way to me.
Yes.
My mother, or like her next door neighbor, or one time my lawyer, or somebody will find my dentist. Somebody will find a way to, and because my family knows and everybody knows, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And then my mother will call and say, honey, don't even worry about what they said. And then I go, what?
Right. What was it?
What?
Yeah. Okay. So, favorite country or city that you have been to?
Oh, that's hard.
That's
really hard.
And then on the flip side, what's a country or a city that you have not been to that you really want to go to?
I want to go to Thailand. I've never been there. That's for sure. I want to go there. Oh gosh. So there are many. I lived in France for many years. I loved it in Paris. I loved my life there and I miss it all the time. I love London. You know what city I loved? You're not going to even believe this. Salt Lake City.
It's beautiful, right? It's like a bowl and these gorgeous mountains. Beautiful, yeah.
But for me, it was the people. And I know there are a lot. It's like the Mormons. It was the people.
Yeah.
That like touched my heart so much.
Did you sing with Mormon Tabernacle Choir?
Many times. Many
what
times.
a sound that is. My goodness.
Please.
My goodness. What is your favorite? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, or dessert?
Breakfast.
Aha. And see, I can sleep right through breakfast.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, I can sleep right through breakfast. But I do love breakfast foods, but I can eat them for dinner too.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
I think it's just the morning time that I can't get with. um, who is or who are, do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh, yeah. TJ Holmes on Good Morning America.
Aha.
My God. Every time he smiles,
Lights up the room.
I am good for nothing. He takes my breath right out of my body. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you can say this if you want, or you can just give me the first letter, but do you have a favorite curse word?
Oh, yeah. Rhymes with muck.
It's all purpose.
It's because there's so many fricatives, right?
Yes.
And so it really releases a lot of emotion. It's great.
Yeah. Hold on. Somebody wants to say something to you from
London, Naomi. Thank you, Naomi.
Wow, Naomi, you're up really late for this. Thank you so much. And then my final question, if heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, wow. I don't know. You did a good job. I'm proud of you.
Yes. Yeah. You know what Barbara Hendricks said that I loved the other day? She said, choir rehearsal starts in 30 minutes. Get your robe. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
I love that. I so love that.
Fantastic.
Well, Denise, I've had you here for 2.5 hours. My goodness. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you've spent this time with us. And
I'm impressed by you.
Oh,
I have to ask you something because our mutual friend Ronald was always telling me, you got to watch this, Denise. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. And then he said to you, and I don't want to embarrass you, like, why don't you have Denise on? And you said, like, I don't know, that you didn't find me approachable or something.
I was nervous. I was like, she would come on my show? Like, oh my God, she's a superstar. Like, she's not going to want to.
What?
I was so nervous.
The reason I was interested in that is because I thought, what do I give off then? Right?
No, it's like for me, you're in that whole train of phenomenal women that I bow down to, like Marian Anderson and Leontine Price and Jessie Norman and Grace Brumby and Shirley Verrett and Florence Kovar and Denise Graves. Like, you're in that group. Like, I hold you all in such high esteem that I don't want to like bother you with something trivial, or, you know, it's like she has more important things to do. She has a family, she has a show, she has an empire. Like, I'm not going to bother her. So that's what it was. But I'm just such a fan. And I'm so, you know.
And I'm a fan of yours. And I mean that. I mean that I am so impressed with what you are doing and what you have done. And, you know, they spoke about you at Juilliard.
Me?
In one of my hiring meetings, we talked about you.
Wow.
They said, Denise, one of the things that they wanted me to do was to just sort of, you know, check in and be sort of the eyes and the ears. And they believe that some students may, you know, open up to me differently. And they said that we realized that we might be missing something and that we might not be seeing everything. We fully recognize that there are some things that we just could be missing entirely. Maybe with you, you know, the students would feel, and they talked about someone came on your show and sort of aired, some things that they felt. They took notice of it.
Wow.
They want to be conscious, and they want to be more aware of their interactions with everyone.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So we spoke of you in your show.
That's amazing. Well, you never know who's listening, who's watching, and what they're getting from it. I had done some contracting work at Juilliard in conjunction with the Met Museum of Art. They did a fantastic production of The Mother of Us All at the Met Museum, and they used all the Juilliard students for the roles. And they asked me to contract a racially diverse chorus. And so we had all the rehearsals and stuff at Juilliard, and I was working with the staff and all of that. And so I had a really, really good time. But it's inspiring to me to be able to bring to the table and to the conversation singers of color outside of just Porgy and Bess. Bring to the table singers of color who are often looked over because they're either not at the right school or not with the right teacher or not with the right agent, or, they're working 9 to 5, but they still really want to sing. It's like, I want to help be a voice for them as well as my own singing. I already do feel, some weight on my shoulders, but I absorb that weight with pride that when I go to work to sing, I'm bringing all of my people with me. So I have to do the best job that I possibly can. And by me doing my best there, it helps keep the door open. And that's what you have done for us. And so I feel compelled to pay that energy forward.
Yeah, same here. Same here. May God bless your beautiful soul.
Oh, you too.
Keep soldiering on. Continue this mighty mission that you are on. It is important work, and this will be documented forever. It's just beautiful what you're doing.
Thank you. And we have to have you in the movie, in the film. We're going to talk about that.
I'm here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on this amazing conversation with the legendary Denyce Graves. Thank you for rocking with us, and tune in next week. And happy Thanksgiving preparations. Don't skip over Thanksgiving and go right to Christmas. You make sure you honor Thanksgiving, especially now more than ever. And congratulations again to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yay!
And onwards and upwards, and pray for this vaccine that it is able to get to us with little to no side effects, and so that we can get back to living and giving the world what it needs. And that's some love through music and art. So thank you so much. God bless you all. Good night. And Denise, don't sign off yet. I'll talk to you off air in a minute.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank